Today, friends, even as we concentrate on Job chapter 14, verse 1 onwards, verse 1, man born of woman is of few days and full of trouble. There is nothing any truer than that. Trouble is the common denominator of mankind. All of us have experienced trouble in some way or the other in some time of our lives or the other. Trouble is a language that the whole human family knows. Verse 2, he springs up like a flower and withers away like a fleeting shadow. He does not endure. Job says that death is inevitable, that we must depart from this world. Life is like a shadow. When the sun goes down, what happens to the shadow? The shadow goes. Verse 3, do you fix your eye on such a one? Will you bring him before you for judgment? Like a flower that has been cut down, or as a shadow that disappears, is my life. And yet God sees me, and he deals with me in the brevity of this life. Who can bring what is pure from the impure? No one. Then he goes on to state a great truth. We were all born in sin. David said, behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Psalm 51 and verse 5. How could any of us be a sinless creature? When we had a sinful father, a sinful mother, you cannot bring a clean thing out of an unclean thing. That is a rule that is universal. Verse 5, man's days are determined. You have decreed the number of his months and have set limits he cannot exceed. Job says that as a human being he feels that he is pretty well hemmed in. David wrote Psalm 23 and verse 4, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you hem me in, you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. Was he referring to his deathbed? No. From the very minute of birth, when we start out in life, we are walking through a canyon where the shadow of death is on us. And we keep on going until it gets narrower, and finally it leads to our death. We are always walking in the shadow of death, my friend. Someone has put it like this: the moment God gives us life, he begins to take it away from us. Now notice verse 7 onwards. At least there is hope for a tree. If it is cut down, it will sprout again, and its new shoots will not fail. Its roots may grow old in the ground, its stump die in the soil, yet at the scent of water it will bud and put forth shoots like a plant. But man dies and is laid low. He breathes his last and is no more. A man may have made tremendous success, but his life is brief and short. He could have been a famous person, and then he is gone. Where is he? There may be a few monuments around him, maybe a street or two named after him. But what good is that? What does that amount to? Here is a breakthrough that reveals the faith that is yet alive in the heart of Job. If a man dies, will he live again? All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. You will call and I will answer. You will long for the creature your hands have made. It has always been a big question with man. If a man dies, shall he live again? Job answers it here. All the days of my hard service, I will wait for my renewal to come. Even in death, Job knows that God is going to call him and that he will answer that call. In other words, God is not through with us at the point of death. Death is not the end of life at all. We will hear Job say again later on, I know my Redeemer lives, and he will stand at the latter day upon the earth. And though after my skin worms destroy this body, yet in my flesh shall I see God, whom I shall see for myself, and mine eyes shall behold, and not another, though my reins be consumed within me. The entire chapter is a great eulogy on death, a requiem on death. I recommend that you read it in its entirety. We move now to the second discourse of Eliphaz as found in Job chapter 15. We have completed now, friends, one round of discourses. All three of the friends have spoken to Job, and Job has answered each one of them. Now we start arduously the second round of discourses. Remember that Eliphaz is the spiritualist. He has had a dream, remember, a vision, a guiding something moving around his room. He feels that he has had a remarkable experience and therefore has the right to be heard. Verses 1 onwards of Job 15. Then Eliphaz the Temanite replied, would a wise man answer with empty notions, or fill his belly with a hot east wind? Would he argue with useless words, with speeches that have no value? Notice, they are really slugging it out with words in this intellectual foray. He says, my goodness, Job, you certainly are so windy in your speech. You are just doing empty talking. Again, you can see that he is not helping Job. Actually, he is hitting him below the belt. He is attacking Job. He is trying to make Job break down and make him confess. That is not the way to beat a fallen man, to treat a man who is in trouble like Job was. Would a wise man answer with empty notions, or fill his belly with hot east wind? In other words, he says that all that Job speaks is only hot air. Now verse 4. But you even undermine piety and hinder devotion to God. Your sin prompts your mouth. Notice again, your sin stimulates or prompts your mouth. You adopt the tongue of the crafty. Your mouth condemns you, not mine. Your own lips testify against you. Eliphaz says that Job is his own accuser and not Eliphaz. He is going after Job, as you can see, really hounding him. And now you notice verse 7. Are you the first man ever born? Were you brought forth before the hills? The first man before the hills? You speak as if you know something, Job. But do you really? Were you born before the hills? Verses 8 and 9. Do you listen in on God's counsel? Do you limit wisdom to yourself, the arrogance? What do you know that we do not know? What insights do you have that we do not have? Again, he is arguing from a very wrong premise. He tries to put Job in very bad light. He does not bring Job to a place where he can see that he is a man who has a great lack and a great need. There is no comfort for Job from this friend of his, Eliphaz. Verse 10, the gray-haired and the aged are on our side. even older than your father. Men even older than your father. Eliphaz defends himself and the two other friends by telling Job their advantage of maturity is over Job, is against Job. He says that wisdom is on their side and not on the side of Job. This is his argument. Gray hairs, aged, older men. Now verse 14. What is man that he could be pure, or one born of woman that he could be righteous? It is true that all men are sinners, but Eliphaz and his friends say this with the basic premise that Job has committed an awful, terrible sin, and that he ought to bring it out in the open and confess it. Now you notice again what he continues to tell Job in verse 15. If God places no trust in his holy ones, if even the heavens are not pure in his eyes. What he says about the heavens is also true. When the Lord Jesus Christ died, he did not die only to redeem mankind, but his plan of redemption stretched wider than mankind. In his plan of redemption, there is to be a new heaven and a new earth that will come because he has redeemed us. It is a true statement that the heavens are not clean in God's holy eyes. Verse 16. How much less man who is vile, who is corrupt, who drinks up evil like water. If the heavens are filthy and need redeeming, how much more man? Although it is true, it is no more applicable to Job in his condition than it is to Eliphaz and every other human being. Now verse 20 and also verse 21. All his days the wicked man suffers torment. The ruthless through all the years stored up for him. Terrifying sounds fill his ears. When all seems well, raiders attack him. Notice, all his days the wicked man suffers torment. Job is suffering torment because he presumes that Job has done something secretly wicked. Here again is the suggestion that Job is hiding something. We must admit, however, that these men did not have a contemporary false psychology which says there is really nothing wrong with man, that man has made a few mistakes and his sin is really one of ignorance, but it really is nothing that couldn't be cured by just rubbing a little ointment on his sin. These men had a truer concept of sin than modern man has, who teach that man is a superior creature, a product of evolution, and so is not responsible to the Creator. Although these men did have the answer to the problem of Job, many of the things they said were not very clear, were not very true. Eliphaz, instead of being a comforter, turns out to be a debater. He has no new information since his first speech, since his first round of speaking. Friends, Eliphaz comes out so good in logic and rationale, the externals, but yet something was wrong somewhere in his argument. It lacked the necessary weight. Friends, the worst form of deceit is self-deceit. May God imprint these words in your heart. God bless you.